So hello my dear brothers and boys, today we will play Fuhrerreich but with the borders of the Kaiserreich. I always wanted to see how this modification will work with the borders of the Kaiserreich, since they are pretty interesting, especially in case of the Ottoman Empire, which has lost everything. However, I didn't change Soviet Union, China and some other parts of the world, since I don't want to break this modification and the events that will happen here. So to make it even more interesting, I left the Russian Republic on the Far East and I left the broken French Africa in Africa. Sounds reasonable. Also, I divided Galicia-Lodom area between Ukrainian People's Republic and Kingdom of Poland, since this country doesn't exist in Fuhrerreich. Without further ado, let's start an interesting time adventure of Fuhrerreich, but with the borders of the Kaiserreich. Enjoy! Okay, so we see some first major changes, and unexpectedly all of them have happened on the Balkans. So Slovakia has gained independence, but wait a minute, that's not a usual Slovakia. This is a Slovakia ruled by the local Hitler, Adolf Hitler, but this time it's Karol Sidor. And what an unexpected turn of events, he is a national populist. I think something is wrong about Mesopotamia. Excuse me, but what the hell they control Aleppo? Like, it's part of Syria, not of Mesopotamia. Never mind, it's just an Ottoman Empire, which has also released a strange Libya and they left a part of it to them. Whoa, it looks like a Deutsche Mittelafrika. Yeah, it's a true one, Deutsche Mittelafrika, ruled by Theodor von Hippel and colonial Regierung. Man, I love German language. If we take a look at the alliance map, we see that the United Kingdom has saved a pretty good positions on the world stage, controlling both Canada, Australia, India and even South Africa with Egypt. They are doing not so bad, I guess. The Continental Entente has also saved some major positions in West Africa, and they also have France, Italy, Albania and even a Rhenish Republic in Europe, and that's a major position on the right bank of Rhine. And technically we can say that the Kingdom of Belgium is also their ally. Guys, what do you think about my comeback in 2025? Let me know in the comments below. Oh, and the United States in this modification is ruled by Charles Curtis, my lovely American grandpa. This is how every old man should look like, having a fantastic mustache and a bit of hair on a hat. Put a like on this video if you like mustache. Oh, and what about Central Asia? I just left it as it is, since I don't want to break the game and the countries that we've got here, since they are pretty much similar to ones that are in the Kaiserreich. Well, Sergei Kirov, the sun is ruling the Soviet Russia. It will be pretty interesting to look at the Russian Civil War and also the clash between the Soviet Union and the German Reich in this universe, since the Soviet Union isn't so great because they have lost Belarus, Ukraine and Caucasian republics. So technically it's not the Soviet Union, it's the union between Russia and Kazakhstan. The Sultanate of Egypt said goodbye to the British Empire, meaning that the British influence has shrinked and now they control only the South African Republic in Africa. That's a huge decrease. Oh, and it looks like Ottomans gifted Cyprus back to the British Empire. Not only Cyprus, let's say only that. Bro is totally losing himself. And Verkhoja has uprised against the Continental Entente, which means that now he's going to build millions of bunkers in Albania. So not even Italy, not France were able to conquer them. 11 bunkers out of 10. Welcome back, my good old friend. No one will understand who you are, because you wear a new hat and sunglasses. Now the Americans will probably think that it's MacArthur and not Huey Long. Oh, that looks really interesting, because as I understood everything that is happening, Rhine has become an independent state and now they are like an alternative Germany, but on the right side of the Rhine River. Ain't no way bunkers are not gonna be constructed. Italians are invading this country too fast to build them. So the Russian Republic was the flag of the Russian Empire during the rule of Alexander III declared the war on the Empire of Japan. Bro, don't you think that it's not the best choice? Especially since your pig is broken and something is going wrong with your coins. Ain't no way Greece is going to take down the Ottoman Empire, as Ottoman Empire has around 7 or 8 divisions and Hellenic Republic has around 24 divisions, which means that the Ottoman Empire and its puppets are gonna become the property of the Hellenic state. Isn't that a true reborn of the Byzantium dream? Because that's gonna be the full restoration of the Byzantine Empire except for Balkans. Yeah, that's not a joke. Greeks have entirely consumed the Ottoman Empire. Congratulations, a Greek mustache man. He won only because of his amazing mustache. Fabulous mustache. The new Mexican-American War is coming, boys. The United States of America declared war on the state of Mexico, which means that Huey Long is employing the dreams of Donald Trump in the real life. In my opinion, that's the Donald Trump of 20th century, Donald Trump of Fuhrerreich. Donald Trump is highly inspired by this dude. Yeah, the Ottoman Empire is technically alive, but it looks really weird. Nothing ever happens with the Soviet Union. Oh, that's something new. Czechia has joined the Third International. Here is another socialist state in Europe. Norwegian Socialist Republic, ruled by collectivists and a party called Arbeiderpartiet. I like Norwegian, but this man, honestly, he looks like a psychopath. February 1938 and we see the first expansion of the German Reich. The German Reich declared war on the Republic of Schleswig-Holstein. Dude, they've got no chances against the German Reich with 61 divisions. Oh wait, there is a huge alliance that gathered against the German Reich in face of Austrian state, Rhine, even Duchy of Luxembourg, which is the puppet of Rhine, and Schleswig-Holstein. But let's take a look at the amount of divisions they have, and you know, what can I say? German Reich will easily defeat them. So that's an easy expansion on lots of states simultaneously. And they even got Belarus to their alliance. Wow, Minsk is lucky enough. Yo boys, check this out, the United States of America are finally gaining the control back, not over the Panama Canal, but also over the whole Panama as well. Donald Trump would be proud of Huey Long. Bye bye all the alternative German states. That's a true victory of German Reich. Bruh, you should better not only break the bread with the Germans, but also give them some tasty biscuits. As we all know that Swiss chocolate and biscuits are amazing. And now that you got a huge border with Germany, you should do that as fast as possible, considering that you are the only German state left in Europe, except for the German Reich, or at least partially German. Mikhail I, the king of socialist Romania. I always knew that Romania is a based state, especially since libertarian socialists has crowned Mikhail. Mikhail I. If you didn't know, Mikhail means Michael, so yeah, I'm technically Mikhail Poltavskiy. Once I said to you about my name, and the French Republic has declared the war on the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. Excuse me, but why? For what? And how did this happen? How did the France declare the war on the Soviet Union? Guess what? Ukraine, Poland, Lithuania and Latvia, all of them have joined the Continental Entente, which means that it's gonna be a full-scale war in Eastern Europe. Now that's gonna be an epic European war. And you know what? Germany isn't included in it. So that looks even more interesting. Well, at least Belarus is staying neutral in this conflict. When you take a look at the front line, you can actually see that Soviet Union didn't prepare for this war, which means that France has plans to conquer Moscow in a year, just like Napoleon tried to do in 1812. I'm sure you've got the same ambitions as your emperor a century ago. However, the Soviet Union has enough manpower, enough divisions, and enough military factories together with civilian factories, so they will probably conquer the entire Eastern Europe and get the borders of the Russian Empire back. Excuse me, France has gone really crazy since they have declared the war on the United Kingdom. Bro, why did you do that? Now the Soviet Russia will unite with the United Kingdom to punish you, just like they did when Napoleon tried to capture the whole Europe. Well, history repeats itself. The things are becoming increasingly interesting as German Reich has declared the war on the Czech Socialist Republic, meaning that the war between Germans and Russians have officially started, and take a look how many countries does they need to capture to win it all. Well, the only way for Soviets to win it is to first capture the entire Eastern Europe, then Central Europe, then take Berlin, and finally enter the Paris. That's gonna be a huge journey if they manage to do so. The situation isn't going so well for Ukraine since it's losing Donbass and Luhansk, and also the situation isn't so good in northern Ukraine, where Ukraine is losing Stardup, Shostka, Sumy and some other cities. Chernihiv is also close to be captured. The only thing Ukraine is left to do is to attract even more foreign forces to defend it. Wait! How did France manage to land into Britain? And it looks like Yugoslavia is trying to restore its borders with the help of the German Reich. Sounds reasonable. Yep, the Yugoslavian borders are almost restored, except for Slovenia and Fiume, which is all that has left of Croatia. Damn, it looks like Czechs won't surrender in any case. Well done, Kami Brudas, they are waiting for Soviet comrades to liberate them and help them restore their country. I think that things are becoming even harder for the Soviets as Finland has joined the Stahlpakt, which means that now they have opened a new front line against the Soviets, now in the north. Yeah, Germans try to do everything to stop the Soviets. And Germany, well, it is losing its best divisions near Leningrad, as they don't have any naval bases to supply their divisions. Oh yeah, Brits are finally trying to regain themselves. Nice. Meanwhile, in America, the local Donald Trump has almost conquered Mexico and destroyed all the cartels. While Romania didn't deserve to die like that. Or maybe they won't die because Romania has joined the Third International and now it's a big problem for the Continental Entente because it opened a new front line on Dniester River. Meanwhile, Soviets are trying to capture Crimea. Now Japan has some major troubles as they are not only fighting against the Russian Empire, alright though, they are also fighting against the Zhili clique, which is invading Korea. That is a peak point for the Russian Empire with the fake Tsar Kirill I. Did you know that this guy supported the abdication of throne of Nicholas II? So technically, he's a traitor of his own dynasty. If you think that Czechoslovakia has been already capitulated, no, they are gaining even more territories while being surrendered by Germans. Bro is cooking for the entire war. Things can't get even better for Comrade Kirov because the Russian Empire has joined the Stahlpakt, meaning that now they have also sent some forces on the Far East to fight against national populists. So the Soviet Union was pushed back by the forces of Entente, but now it is doing much better than it used to, since the deficit of infantry equipment and some other stuff isn't as bad as it was. It was around minus 70 or even 80,000 equipment, meaning that the Soviet soldiers were fighting only with shovels. Oh my god, it is the 6th of November 1940 and the German Reich has declared the war on Kingdom of Lithuania, which means that now it's gonna be a full-scale war between Germans, the Continental Entente, the Soviets, everyone is fighting against each other. Now it's gonna be an epic gameplay. Everything is going so well in this universe. That's what the borders of Kaiserreich can do with Europe. At this point, this is a pretty strange war since only Lithuania and Kingdom of Italy is fighting against the German Reich, while France, Poland and some other dudes are just sitting around and doing nothing against Germans. What a shame, what a betray. Oh my god, Czechia is a god of the war. It is reborn in every time when you think, okay, Czechia is done. But now they are pushing the Germans back. You should definitely put a like on this video for such a strong Czechia. Things are getting even more interesting than they were before in this war, since France has finally joined this war together with Polish Republic, which means that Eastern Front is totally collapsing and the Soviets can take back control of these lands, while Germans will get control over Poland, Ukraine and some other territories. This is something insane, but I'm sure that France is going to capitulate since they've got massive problems with manpower and the Italians are not doing so well on the southern front. To understand the entire situation, you've got this map where everyone is fighting against each other, with only Soviets and Britons uniting against everyone. To understand how bad the situation is for France, Italians, Lithuanians and even Filipinos are fighting against German Reich on French border. And only 1 or 2 divisions out of that all is French divisions. That is something insane, boys. That is something insane. Yugoslavians, Bulgarians, they are doing like always, pretty bad. So Hellenic State is capturing all of them and they have not only united their front lines in Anatolia and main Greece, but also captured Macedonia, half of Bulgaria, half of Albania, and now they are aiming to capitulate Yugoslavia, Bulgaria and then go to capitulate Hungarian state. Now Ukrainians are fighting for the entire Eastern Europe, defending Poland, Belarus, Lithuania and even Latvia, and at the same time fighting on the Eastern Front with Moscow. That's so epic. Ukraine is cooking. Ukraine is great. The Republic of Ukraine is great once again. That's a true one Ukraine reference. Alright though, the German Reich has declared the war on the Republic of Belgium. Well, that is a proper way to get to Paris and defeat France. You know what? Make America great again. The United States is definitely cooking today, and you know what? They don't take part in the stupid European wars, they just hanging around in the Western Hemisphere, destroying Mexicans and the rest of the Central America. To understand how tough the Czechia is, let's look at the German casualties and see that almost 1.2 million of people have died trying to capture Czechia. And as you may see, that operation isn't a successful one. In January 1942, the Republic of Ukraine has capitulated, which means that Soviets and Germans now have a full-scale front line with each other. Oh, that's gonna be an interesting battle, and I think that in this war, the first side that is going to capitulate is going to be the Stahlpakt, as it's gonna be pushed from both sides, from west and from the east. Honestly, I don't really know why, but the Soviet Union decided to invade Estonia. Probably it's not the worst decision to take down Latvia from north, so let's see what will Soviets do in this case. Okay, so now they are invading Central Asia. Excuse me, but where are the forces? How are you going to fight against the Republic of Turkestan? What the hell are the Germans doing on Balkans? They're literally losing manpower for nothing. And it looks like the Soviet Union has some major troubles in Central Asia. Bro, you have to do something with that. The Soviet Union has gone crazy and has started declaring war on each of its neighbors. Like, that's not a joke. He is now fighting with the entire Central Asia, Azerbaijan, Mongolia. Like, dude, just solve all the problems on the Western Front and at least deal with the Russian Empire. Do not try to conquer each country, you've got major troubles here in Asia. I understand that you feel like a champion because of victories in Europe, but solve the problems in Central Asia at first. Meanwhile, nothing has changed on the Western Front. I understand that breaking the Hungarian front line and making vroom 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 to Budapest is funnier than conquer Central Asia, but please, stop at least for a second. Wait! How did the German puppet Norway became Leninist once again? And Lenin is so young again. That Norske Arbeiderparti, radicals. I think that Germans are going to lose this war in the next year, in 1943, since they are losing the situation on the Western Front, on the Southern Front, on the Greek Front, and even on the Soviet Front, losing a half of Hungary. and the situation is no better on Belarusian front. It has gone just a month since the last time I said that Germany is ready to capitulate, and now I can state that Germany is cooked and nothing can save it. They are totally done. And the Entente is moving forward to Berlin. Ain't no way Czechoslovakian comrades have capitulated. The game is so ruined. Whoa, 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 it looks like an epic invasion of Soviet forces into Baltic states, and they prepared lots of divisions for the naval invasion. It's April 1943, and as you may see, Germany was divided, and all of its allies have also capitulated, and as you may see, lots of territories were taken by Czechia, along with the Soviet Union, French Republic and Belgium. Yes, Belgium. It looks like Belgian Congo has rapidly increased into Belgian Africa. And now the Soviet Union has left one by one to fight against the French Republic and the Continental Entente, along with Azerbaijan, Republic of Turkestan, Xinjiang, Mongolia and Russian Empire on the Far East. They've got lots of enemies, but at the same time they've got the United Kingdom, which is also fighting against the Continental Entente. I don't know how useful it is, but it is still better than fighting alone against the Paris. If you want to understand what is happening in Europe, you can look at this map and understand that you can't understand nothing about it. Guys, I discovered a pretty interesting scene. The German Reich has survived, and now its capital is located in Porto Novo, and technically, yeah, it's Benin, not German Reich, but we can still call it a German Reich, and they've got some divisions, fleet, and even the manpower, an insane manpower. And remember that this tiny piece is everything they have left with in the world. So yeah, Germany isn't in the best position right now. Bro, excuse me, but who are you fighting with? I don't see anyone in this province. Well, at this point I realized that the Soviet Union isn't gonna make it, since all the forces of Entente have united to fight the Soviet Union. Also, he isn't doing so well against Turkestan, Mongolia and Russian Empire. So yeah, in a year or so the Soviet Union is going to capitulate, since Polish forces are coming closer to Moscow once again. I don't really know what should happen to change this country to fight like a normal person instead of idiot. Boys, check this out, Ukraine is so back. Now we can see it on the world map, and some way and somehow they have occupied some parts of Belarus, but that doesn't matter. Ukraine is so back. And soon they will come back to my hometown, Poltava. However, even if Soviet Union dies, we've got another Soviet Union, but this time in Spain. Spanish Soviets are ruling the Iberian Peninsula. Technically, the Lenin is so young again, and young October is ahead. But now, a young Jose is so young again. What was that? I don't know. By July 1944, the United Forces of Entente have liberated Kharkiv, as well as eastern Ukraine and western Russia. So the only thing that is left to do is to take the Moscow, and boom, after that the Soviet Union is going to capitulate. Ain't no way, the Entente has dissolved Slovakia and gave it to Hungary. A totally imperialist moment. They forgot about my lovely mountain general, who is the only legitimate ruler of Slovakia. Yeah, by September 1944 the Soviet Union has collapsed, and the last nail to the coffin was put by Ukrainians who captured Narodograd. Goodbye forever, Soviet Union. So this is how this war has ended up. Ukraine took a big chunk of Russia and even got some positions in Kazakhstan. France has annexed Estonia and a major part of Russia, and the Russian Empire got nothing, but only a war against the French Republic. Oh yeah, and most of Belarus are now under the Polish rule, just like it was 400 years ago. And now all the United Forces of the Entente are coming to the Far East to defeat the poor Russian Empire, which is fighting for 8 years against the Japanese Empire, and it is still holding on. Dude, that's a massive result for such a poor state with no manpower. To understand how bad the situation is, around 5 million people are inhabiting all that area. Like, a few provinces in Manchuria have more population than the entire Russian Far East. Even though some huge wars are taking place all over the world, we received a small conflict between the Spanish Soviets and Portugal. So Spanish Soviets have declared war on Portugal, which has no chances against the Spanish Soviets, who has 189 divisions. Finally, we got a new small war, and let's see, will the Spanish Soviets be able to unite the Iberian Peninsula under the Leninist rule? Well, the Spain has gone crazy and they have also declared the war on French Republic, but in my opinion that was a big mistake, as France will just squish them down and they will finally be able to control the Iberian Peninsula as well, and also the Portugal has survived and it's now on its counteroffensive covering the southern coast of Spain, so Spanish Soviets will die just like their counterparts did in Eastern Europe, to be exact, in the Moscow. And also in 1945 the United States has created its own alliance called the Washington Accord, in which the United States of Brazil has also joined. That's something new and you know what, I like it. And we also got another alliance in South America, which is called Alianza del Sur. If you think that this world has gone insane, don't forget that the United States can also declare war on the United Kingdom. Things are going pretty bad for our lovely empire, since it's now not capable even to hold all of its territories, and it will probably crashed by the United States combined with the Continental Entente, which will destroy all that they have. So, welcome back, the 51st state of the United States, called Canada. Donald Trump would approve such a move. Wait, so somehow the Republic of Ireland has joined the Washington Accord, and then this has happened. The United Kingdom became the puppet of Kingdom of Ireland, which means that British alliance has dissolved? It is probably some kind of game lag, since the United Kingdom hasn't capitulated, so something weird has happened with it. And the 51st state of the United States has almost entered a new country. Well, the United States didn't want to annex Quebec, so they made it a puppet state. Why not? They don't know English, and in the United States they don't know French, which makes it a fair deal. Whoa, the new border of Quebec looks pretty cool. I love it and I approve it. So 10 years have gone since this world has started, and now I want to summarize everything that has happened during that period of time. The continental Europe is now united under the rule of the Continental Entente and Paris with Rome. Just as usual, the United States have united both North and South America. The Union of South Africa is fighting against all the European colonies. And the Continental Entente is dominating a major part of Asia, and soon they will capitulate India, and probably they will capitulate Japan as well. The Russian Empire is the last Russian state, and it has almost capitulated under the pressure of Entente and Japanese Empire. The Caucasus stays strong, and probably Azerbaijan will gain some lands after the peace deal and capitulation of Persia. Oh, and the Ottoman Empire has stayed pretty much the same. So that's what can happen with the world of Fuhrerreich, but with the borders of Kaiserreich.